Pokemon Winds and Waves have just been announced and everyone is super excited. The games look great, the starters are, but I went back and I watched through in detail to try and find some extra information. So here is my breakdown of the trailer and some things you might have missed when watching the presents. Okay, so starting out, the very first thing we see is a flip book with all the generations. This is Generation 9. And then we go to Generation 10. So right here, we have Pikachu looking out onto the water. As you can see right here, there's a Gyarados kind of looking cloud. It's a Pokemon-shaped cloud. It looks like a Gyarados. This might also be a Finizen. I can't really tell. But this is clearly a Pokemon-shaped cloud. Now, that's going to come up later. But this is the first time that we see it. And this is technically the first time we're seeing Generation 10. So then going forward, we have them open the door onto the water. And then we have these two Pikachu right here. So these two Pikachu, obviously, they're dressed up, right? This Pikachu even has some eyeliner going on, but we don't know at this moment if that's going to be something that we're going to be able to do. Is give our Pokemon customized clothing. Now, personally, I would say based off of this, probably yes. Is it going to be for every Pokemon? Unsure. But I think going forward, that's definitely going to be something that we can look forward to. So also notice right here, he takes off the glasses. This is a male Pikachu. As you can see from the tail, this is a female. He even has different eyelashes than a normal Pikachu, which is very interesting. So I don't know if they're going to like have that for every Pokemon. You can see the cheek colors on this one are different, so I don't know how deep it's going to get or if these are just going to be like special kinds of Pokemon, but I think there is going to be some level of customization, probably not to that extent for every Pokemon though. Have him doing some emotes. He does have a little tail ornament. In fact, both of them do. So he has that pearl one, and then she has like a little bandana on the back of hers. So we have hat, accessory on the hat, glasses, shirt, tail accessory, different eyeshadows / eyelashes, different cheek pouch colors. So going forward, it cuts Game Freak. And then here we go. So this is our first look at the actual world. Now this is not This is not representative of actual gameplay experience, but we can assume it's going to look something pretty similar to this. Now, they don't come out until 2027, so they have a lot of development time. If that's implied holiday time 2027, they have almost 2 years. And if this is what it looks like now, I have some pretty high hopes for it. So our first look here, if we look at the background, a lot of people gave Pokemon Violet and Pokemon Scarlet a lot of flack for the textures of the ground, the mountains in the background, the trees, things like that. I will say these definitely look better. It's still a little bland in the background. You can see the trees, they're pretty far away. They're rendered in, but they're not exactly the best. Now keep in mind, this is like very, very far background, so it's not the worst thing in the world. It's definitely better than Pokemon Violet and Pokemon Scarlet, and I think it's going to look better, at the very end. Things like this rock right here, a little bit lower texture, but I'm not complaining about that personally. So going forward, we have a windmill. We have a windmill that is spinning in more than 2 frames per second. Huge. That's huge for us. So looking at the background still, you can see there are more details on the rocks than in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Like you can see there's actual indents. It's not just one flat texture. Same thing with the windmill. The actual texture of like the wood and this having rust on it, things like that. Lens flare. This trailer loves lens flare, by the way. You're going to see it a lot. But I think overall, this looks pretty good. And the windmill's spinning at more than 2 frames per second. So we got that going for us. Okay, so that was our first look at Pokemon. Hold on, let me go back. So these are the Pokemon models for Tropius and Gloom. They look pretty good. I would say, this is being played through YouTube at only 1080p quality. It's The background, like this right here, obviously doesn't look great. But the things like the foliage in the background, the shadows on the ground, dynamic shadows from Tropius, we can see right here that it's a dynamic shadow from his leaf wing. I think it looks overall pretty good. Things like the ground texture, I don't think are ever going to reach the quality that people would want. I'm more concerned with the actual Pokemon model quality and things like dynamic lighting. I think that adds a lot rather than, you know, the ground looking better. So now we have Wailord in the water. So you can see the water right here looks different than what we're going to see later. And I don't know if what we see later is more indicative of what the water is going to look like or if it is going to look like this. We will see. The Wailord and Wailmer textures look pretty good. As far as like the actual water going up, I can't see if it actually affects the shadows or anything. Doesn't look like it does. So here we have this really big tower and we're looking down and you can see the water. You can see the actual ocean floor as it gets deeper, as it goes out, which is really nice. It looks like they put a lot of effort into the actual water in this game because it's going to be a very important aspect is what I'm assuming. I mean, one of the things is Pokemon waves, so they got to make it look good. The actual tower itself does look very nice. I don't know if this is going to be, so we can see it goes out pretty far over here. This is obviously going to be like in Pokemon Violet and Pokemon Scarlet, where we had the school be kind of like the center of the region. I'm assuming this is going to be like that. This is going to be kind of our main hub where we start out. I don't know if it's going to be a school again. We don't know what this is. We can see there's like a little inlet right here, which is kind of interesting. And it is deep too. So we can tell what's deep based on the water right here. We can see like little villages, little buildings in the background. So we don't know how big the island is going to be, but just from looking at the screenshot, this looks like it's going to be pretty big, especially if we have the water added in to where we can go. It's going to be a pretty big playable area. Okay, so we have water coming out of this into the ocean. I don't know if they're polluting the water. We don't know. We have these little things coming out with little trees on each of them. This is probably just a design thing, probably not anything important. We have little buildings. We can't really tell what's there. It looks like these look just like umbrellas, little tables, chairs. Nothing really to tell right here, except that there's a lot of water going on. A lot of water going on. And it does look pretty nice. So here's our character. First look at the character. White backpack, white hat. This is probably going to be your default outfit when you first start out in the game. And it looks like it probably is going to be some sort of like school or obviously an organization that we're a part of, because this, you know, kind of matches up with everything. We don't know what this is. If I had to guess, it's going to be some kind of tool that we can use to either like ride on the waves, some type of transportation device. I don't know if they would have us ride Pokemon again. They might. But I think they might go the route of using tools instead. So this is our other character. We can see this thing right here again. And I personally really feel like this is going to be what we use for transportation on different terrains. We can see this is a different color for our uniform. This is blue. So I'm assuming the white one was from the Winds School. We'll just call it the Winds School. This is going to be from the Wave School. Similar to Pokemon Violet, we had Blueberry Academy, or sorry, we had the Orange Academy and the Purple Academy, whatever they were called. So there's our male character, his face, his hair. So this is what the default is going to look like, presumably. Got some hair swept to the side, parted. Pretty normal looking background. If we look at the flowers and the texture, that grass texture, again, isn't very good, but the flowers look nice. And this actually, you can see there's a little bit of actual pop out. So one thing with Pokemon Legends EA was like they had the windows just be a flat texture, and we can already see stuff like this isn't flat. Like this looks 3D, which is nice. And there's our female, weird thing to pause on. There's our female protagonist. We can see in the background there's like a room. I don't know if this is the starting room or a room that we can even really go in, because that wasn't something that we could do in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But I would say this room being decorated and looking nice, maybe we can go back into buildings now. That would be great. I would love to explore buildings. Why is she looking at me like that? I need to press play. So here we have them running away from our organization here. It looks like the Wind School. Ground texture still looks bad. The trees look all right. They are palm trees, so they're a little bit different than the trees everyone complained about before. Okay, so we had Nimble. We have Talo. They look pretty good. The grass looks all right. The grass looks all right. The rocks definitely look better, but I think the ground texture is one thing that people get hung up on a lot. I will say this definitely looks better. It's better than Scarlet and Violet. 100% looks better. And again, we can see dynamic shadows from the Talo right at the bottom, right here, which is nice. Okay, so here we have, presumably is going to be our Pokemon Center, Pokemon Mart stands. So Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, we had the little stands that were popping up everywhere. This is going to be this game's version of that, where you have your one-stop shop for everything. One thing I don't see, just from a quick look, is a TM machine, which is what they had in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. They had the Pokemon Center, Pokemon Shop, and a TM maker, and I don't see that. I do see the Nurse Joy here, and I see the Pokeshop guy, but I don't see a TM machine. So that's interesting. I wonder how they're going to go about TMs in this game. I don't know if we're going to be getting Pokemon material still. Probably not, to be honest. They'll probably change that up. So we have Tangela, Oddish. So, okay, so here's where the water looked different than earlier. If we look back before, it was much more flat. It wasn't, you know, moving around like that. This, I would hope, is going to be what we actually see in the game when we're playing. This looks way better than the water before. Taking a look at the clouds, don't see anything really yet. I mean, this one looks weird, but I can't really tell if it's a shape. Okay, so we have these huts here. We saw them in an earlier part of the video, I believe. They're just kind of normal houses. Now, what I want to know is, can we go in these? Because the other room was decorated, but we don't know if we're going to be able to go in there. They have doors, so maybe. But like this one looks open, right? These ones don't look open. So maybe we can't go in these, and this is going to be some open area that we can go into that has something. Could be. I do like the little coral on the bottom of the ground here. That is pretty nice. I like things like that. You can see it over here too. There's some coral on the sea floor. Don't know what is up with this area, and I can't read Pokemon, so I have no idea what that says. We do see a little house down here. We see some other one as well. So I think there's going to be kind of just like villages scattered about. It seems very like Asia Pacific theme, which is pretty cool. I like that. We have Lediba, Ledian. Don't know who asked for those. Okay, so this is a really, really cool example of the dynamic lighting. So we can see that Slugma is in this cave, and he is giving off light by himself. Same thing with Centiskorch. Or sorry, Centipede? Sizzlepede? I don't know, one of them. He's giving off light from his face and from his butt. And we can see there's like lava on the sides. We still have this uniform. Actually, no, this is... Yeah, this is the same. We still have the uniform on with the backpack and the hat. So, something interesting. This Pikachu looks different. He's a lot brighter yellow than normal Pikachu, which I think is pretty interesting. So, it makes me think that they actually did change some models around, but he's definitely brighter yellow. And in the background, we can see, okay, so we have like this waterfall right here. Doesn't look the best, but it is moving water. We have the Pokeball, we throw it, 1, 2, 3, catch. So that's the catch animation. Now, clearly, I think that was in a battle catch animation, so we don't know if they're going to add, like, we don't know if they're going to have Pokemon Legends where you can catch them at any point. You don't have to battle them. I would say based off of this, we're still going to have to battle them. We're probably still going to have to battle them just based off of something like this. The thing is with the diving, we'll get into that later, but I think we're still going to have to battle them. I think they're going to keep things like that specifically for Pokemon Legends, if I had to guess. Before we have Wingull, we have a lot of coral, kind of like a whole reef on the seafloor, which is nice. Like, this looks good. This looks good. If you ignore this tree, I know. Listen, I know. If you ignore this tree, it looks pretty good. So we have Krabby, we have Sandygast. Again, we have shadows being casted from the moon, which is cool. So there is going to be a day-night cycle. Kind of expected at this point. We have Marini and Corsola. Background, I told you they love lens flare. They love it. They look pretty good. We have Time Pole and Carnivine. So there's going to be like a swamp biome. That's pretty cool. I like that. I wonder if it's going to be something like the Blueberry Academy where they kind of have, you know, all their different biomes sectioned off kind of thing, or if they're going to bleed into one another like Scarlet and Violet. As we can see, front and center, the flower here does not look amazing. Do I think that takes away? Not really. So we have Slugma with the lighting again. Duskull, they actually look pretty good. So Duskull here, we do have a background. It's some kind of house. We don't know what is inside of it. Again, I don't read Pokemon, but we have Slowking on the banner, which is pretty cool. We don't have anything else around this house, so I'm unsure if this is just kind of like a person's house, but maybe we can go in and explore it. Who knows? Duskull does look pretty cool too. We have our character running. The windmill is spinning. We love to see that. Running down some... Okay, so here we have our 3 starters from behind. Hold on. So our 3 starters, there we are. So we have Brout, which is this one, Pombon, and Gekwa. I'm not going to lie. When I saw these, it really reminded me of Pal World. I'm just saying, especially this guy. Just saying. Here we have Brout. So again, waterfall in the background, by the way. We have Brout. He's grass chicken is what it looks like. Grass chicken Brout. We have the fire Pomeranian Pombon. I think this is probably going to be people's favorite. I mean, it's a fire Pomeranian. That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick. And we have Gekwa, my personal favorite. I like Gekwa. Look at him. Look at him. I was a big Sobble fan, though. It is kind of interesting how we're getting another water reptile. We have a lot. We have 2 already. We have Totodile. We have Sobble. And now we have Gekwa. It's pretty good. Okay, so there we go with the water again. You can see how it's kind of actually moving. It's not flat. I think that's pretty nice. And here we have this shadow up here of this cloud. So this is that shadow we saw at the very beginning. It looks like a Gyarados. Now, I don't know how many of you guys have played Sea of Thieves, but Sea of Thieves has this thing where it'll have like a skull up in the sky and there'll be like a fort you can go raid or something like that. I don't know if this is going to signify something to that effect where it's like, you know how in Pokemon Violet, we have the raids with the little crystal things. We have those. Pokemon Sword and Shield, they had the beams for the raids. What I would assume is this is going to be similar to that. Is it going to work the exact same way? Don't know. But that shadow being up in the sky is probably going to be an event of some sort that we can go and do. Probably pertaining to whatever Pokemon is being signaled by the cloud. And now here, very cool. So we have this diving part here. Now, one thing that I want to mention, this game looks a lot like Pokemon Snap. Do I think it looks as good as Pokemon Snap? No. But it looks a lot like Pokemon Snap. And one thing from this photo right here, you can see there's like a path that we're going to follow down. I don't know if the diving is going to be like truly open world, or if the diving is going to be more of a controlled environment where we can go down the path, maybe catch Pokemon as we swim, fight Pokemon as we swim kind of thing. I would hope that it's a pure open world experience. We don't know it at this point, but this path right here has me thinking it's probably going to be more of a controlled environment. And we can see we have Luminion, Corsola again. What is that? Marini again. It's very angry. Frillish, Tynamo, Wailord, Krabby. I will say it does look nice too. The diving part does look nice. And then we have the reveal of our names: Pokemon Winds and Pokemon Waves. And here we have the water moving, still moving, which again, I really hope is what we're going to see, because if the water looks like that while we're playing, it's going to look so much better than it did in Scarlet and Violet and even earlier in the trailer. Now, as far as these logos here, doesn't really give anything away about the legendaries, unfortunately, and there was no hint at the legendaries so far. We can assume they obviously have something to do with wind and water. That's about it. Now, at the bottom here, global simultaneous release in 2027. So that means that these games are not going to come out this year. They're going to come out next year. Presumably, they're going to come out holiday time 2027. So what does that mean for these games? It means they have a lot of time to work on them, which is great because they already look good. Some people might be disappointed because they're not releasing them this year, but I think giving them more time to work on it to make them better is much, much better. We have Pokopia coming out soon too, which will keep me busy for a whole year, so no worries there. But they will have a long time to work on these games, and I'm very excited to see what they do and what future reveals they have. I will say, from everything that we've seen so far, might be a hot take, I hope we get some better Pokemon designs, because the only one I really like is, well, Pombon's cool, and I do like Gekwa, but we gotta do something about Brout, man. We gotta do something about Brout. But that finishes up the trailer. We have our water moving, our logos, and that's it. So that is a breakdown of the whole trailer for Pokemon Wind and Pokemon Waves. Everything that I noticed in the background, some assumptions, not really a lot that we know so far. But as we do learn more, I will be sure to let you guys know. And I'm going to go play Pokemon Fire Red. I'm going to catch every single Pokemon. So look forward to that, and I will see you in the next one.